What's up, everybody? John Eric Poli here with My MMA News, and today's guest will be defending his amateur bantamweight championship at Maverick 22 this weekend when he takes on Tony Stewart. And this is a big event, too, by the way, for the Maverick promotion. This is one of a few title fights on it, but it's also the promotion's first casino show. It's going to be at the Wind Creek Casino in Bethlehem. So, going to be a great night of fights. But without any further ado, let's welcome in today's guest, Jesse Burke. Jesse, thanks for being here, man. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, man. I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, man, it's no problem at all. Looking forward to today's conversation. Let's start with this. It's fight week. We're just about ready to go here. I know you're starting to cut off the final few pounds of weight here. Just how you feeling both physically and mentally ahead of the fight?
I feel great, man. Honestly, a lot of times I have to remind myself that the fight is this Saturday, just because like the gym is just such a natural habitat to me. I just kind of feel like I'm at home the entire time anyway. Really, nothing really starts to happen till Saturday when I just want to get in the cage and get it over with.
Yeah, man, I hear you there. Your last fight now is when you won the championship. Just what was that moment like? I'm sure it'd be a special moment for you to be able to have a belt and everything else that goes along with it.
Yeah, I think I overlooked it in the moment a little bit just because as a goal, I just want to go so far. So when I got home, I was finally able to see. I took a second to look back and realize that like all my training, like there was finally an achievement. It just wasn't on paper anymore. I had something I could hold, call mine, show people and stuff like that. So it helped a lot with like my confidence. It helped a lot again, like I said, making sure that I can actually see something that I won. And like I said, although I always have a goal to be better than what I am right now, the Maverick MMA amateur belt was definitely a good stepping stone to get there.
And you mentioned, right, there's always goals to get better. I'm sure there's going to be a pro career coming up here soon and everything. We'll talk about future stuff here in a little bit, but just the fact of, getting that bantamweight title, even though it's still in the amateur ranks, I'm sure obviously, a great feeling like you said there. Has anything changed, though, since you won that title? You feel any, different sense of accomplishment or anything like that, or is it still just business as usual? You're still in the gym, still working hard, still kind of bigger fish to fry, you could say.
Yeah. No, it definitely, I think it has me a little bit more grounded in the fact that this is going to be a career. Like for a while, obviously I always know it's what I wanted to do, but once you kind of get the belt, and even like I have the amateur belt, so that kind of like spells forward that I could potentially go professional soon. That's kind of like what's clicking with me. Like, okay, it's not going to be amateur time anymore. You're getting into like a professional time period where you really have to start acting like that. So grounding my training, making sure I'm training the way that I'm supposed to in the areas that I'm supposed to, and making sure that I listen to my coaches and take my time with it and trust the process. Like I said, it all started once I got that belt. Then it's like, okay, now I can turn pro after this fight. Well, hopefully with my coaches after this fight. And then that for me kind of grounded me into the training and how serious and dedicated it was.
In the amateur ranks, it's unique because it's essentially, if you lose in the amateur ranks, nobody faults you for anything. That's the time where you're supposed to learn, you're supposed to make mistakes, everything like that. So you mentioned, right, there is that chance to go pro. What was that decision like to say, you know what, I'm going to stick with the amateurs for now, want to get a few more fights in, as opposed to just going ahead and turning pro? Because there are a lot of fighters that once they get that amateur championship, next step is pro, and that's that.
Yeah, definitely my coaches. I remember turning 18 because in PA you can't fight MMA until you turn 18. So I was doing kickboxing before that. And I turned 18 and I went to my coach and I was like, okay, I'm ready for MMA. He's like, what are you talking about? You have like 2 years of jujitsu to do still. And I was like, oh, okay. So it's definitely up to them because obviously, they've been around for so long and stuff like that. Like they know what it takes to get there. So we talked about it like a good defend here. Maybe again, maybe if I depending on how the fight goes, if I need to get a little bit more experience, that's one thing. But that's all ultimately what it comes down to, just experience. Win, lose, the belt, whatever it really came down to. It's just about when I get into that professional setting, which you see when people rush it, like after the first round, they're kind of like deer in headlights. I don't want that. I want to be steady and sturdy in my career right from the get-go, you know? So definitely more so up to them. I want to even kind of mess with like professional boxing and striking still. So like that's a little bit easier for me to do because that's kind of like my second nature. But MMA, like I said, mostly it's all about my coach Frank and just making sure my ground game and my wrestling and all that stuff is settled. And elbows, obviously, elbows and knees to the head are a little bit different as well. But I already incorporate that stuff into my training. So
All right, man, let's get into the fight specifics here now. With it being fight week, that means training camp is officially all wrapped up. Just how was your camp?
it was great. Again, just kind of flowing right from one right into another. Kind of like what Hunter talked about yesterday or the day before, just sharpening our tools that we have in camp. We both have kind of found a rhythm that we like. We experiment with some things here and there to see if we can add any more things to our repertoire. And I'm sure some things I add on with each camp, but it's just about getting better and better every time. And our team, like the Scranton MMA team, is getting better with us. So every camp, it's like the people who beat us up are just getting better at beating us up and beating us up. So it's a great feeling.
And you mentioned that interview with Hunter that I did. Same question that I'm going to ask you that I asked him. It's been awesome to see in this area because we're both northeastern Pennsylvania guys here. I'm in the Pittston area. You're in Scranton. For a lot of time, I mean, so it's funny, right? This area always had great wrestlers, but the whole MMA side of thing was pretty much non-existent for a long time. Now, it's nice to see that the sport is growing and evolving, even so much so that you guys even just opened up another location in Wilkes-Barre. That's how much the sport's been growing in the area. What's it just been like to watch this? You said, what, since 18, you kind of been involved with the martial arts here in the area. Just over these last few years, just the growth in the sport in northeastern Pennsylvania.
Yeah, no, it's crazy because again, like I started training Muay Thai when I was in boxing when I was a freshman in high school. So throughout my high school, I had some kickboxing fights, and for those, I had to travel to Hershey, Harrisburg, like 2, 3 hour drives to go fight kickboxing. And now we've had the last 2, 3 cars of MMA is in our backyard, basically. So it's a great feeling. And again, just like seeing the gym go from like at max 10, 15 people that interested in MMA, because a lot of people take that stuff for like defense, but to want to be fighters, to want to be MMA fighters, like the numbers are just growing and growing and growing so much. And it's really great to see because obviously, like, the more we could put out in terms of like fighters into the community, just the bigger it's going to get in the area. And that's always great because the more opportunities we can get out there, the better.
100%, and that's a big credit too to Willie with Maverick. He's been doing a lot of great work too for the area. And I know you've mentioned about like what boxing and kickboxing, having to go to Hershey. Like Douglas Long's done a lot in the area. There's been a lot of Scranton shows, a few in Wilkes-Barre too. So it's like I said, it's great seeing that the martial arts is growing in the area. But anyway, let's talk a little bit now about Scranton MMA here a little bit. I know you guys have been doing a lot of great things. You guys have a few fighters fighting in the Maverick promotion. Just what's it been like, kind of, all you guys, kind of pioneers sort of in a way for the area, making this journey here all together. What's it been like having a few people in the gym to kind of be able to go to war with it for every show, having your back for every show and kind of doing this all together, kind of almost being the guinea pigs for Northeastern Pennsylvania MMA?
Yeah, man, it's great because, like I said, we're all just family. Like even the guys that have us help us with like our MMA training, like they just started going to the gym, maybe to like get in better shape, maybe to learn how to protect themselves or whatever. Maybe they just wanted to be a jujitsu competitioner. But we all so like connected, and they all see what's going on that we can all help each other, and we all push each other in our own respected sports. Like we have guys who have just want to be strikers who don't really touch the ground, but that's still great. They still get their work in. They still support everyone that's there. And I think a big part of it is just realizing, like the gym itself almost realizes how important it is to the community to a degree, because it's important for people to know how to protect themselves. It's important for people to have a place to go to have like an outlet, meet people, be friends, meet a family. We have a huge like kids class curriculum as well, and that's great because we have kids in doing classes and stuff now. Well, we've had it done for a while, but again, like that's what's important: getting people away from maybe more dangerous activities and giving them a place to be with family where they could be happy and have fun. Because that's what it comes down to at the end of the day. Is as long as we're all having fun, and having those guys there or having like the entire SMMA team come out to our fights, it just drives us even more. And they see that in our training. They see that there when we're there for 3 to 4 hours a day, whether it's training or helping teach or whatever the case may be. Like they see the dedication we put there, and they know how much it helps to have their support with us.
Yeah, you guys are doing a lot of great things there. Can't wait to see how things continue to grow there at Scranton MMA. Let's talk now just another fight-specific thing, and then we'll move on to some future plans here. Let's talk about your opponent now a little bit. Just what have you seen out of him as you've been scouting him, and what are you expecting on fight night?
Yeah, so I just did like a Tapology like search of his name. He actually fought. I don't know if it was the same card I fought Brandon Bernard, but it was the fight. It was the same card I was watching Brett Floyd fought. I forget who he fought on that card, but they were on the same card. I think Tony Stewart was like the fight after Brett Floyd or something like that. So I already kind of watched him because I was watching the Brett Floyd fight for my last fight review. And then yeah, I found like again like a Facebook search. I saw like a couple highlights or whatever of some of his other stuff. I didn't go too deep into detail. It's amateurs. We're gonna go out there fight, or I'll start game planning and really studying people when there's money on the line or whatever, and I have to make sure I win to get the best that I can get. As of right now, as you kind of said earlier, it's all about experience. I'd be perfectly fine with the guy just coming to the gym or whatever. I mean, it's great to be able to put a show on for people. It's great to be able to show myself to the world in terms of like my striking and my skills or whatever. But in my mind, it's again, he might as well just be coming for a sparring event. That's all we're doing. Yeah, obviously, just with a little bit more intent.
So with that being said, then I guess let's ask this question here in terms of future plans. I know we kind of talked about this a little bit earlier. I guess what's the blueprint kind of like for you in terms of going pro, or even I guess short term? What's kind of the year going to look like for you here? Do you have any sort of things kind of laid out a way that you want it to go, or are you kind of just playing everything by ear and approaching everything one step at a time?
Yeah, we're still playing it one step at a time. One of the more major benefactors part of that decision has been he just had a kid uh earlier this month or last month. So he hasn't been around all that much, and I still want to talk to him about some stuff, still want to see how he feels about things. In terms of like professional MMA, it's really just about making sure. Obviously, I'll probably run into some problems in the ground game alone because I missed out on Scranton wrestling. I didn't take wrestling in high school, which is probably one of my biggest regrets. And there's just a lot of good wrestlers out in pro right now. So that alone would probably be the only thing that would hold me back with MMA. Just because once you get into professional, you can get like elbowed, and there's a lot of good ways that you can get messed up pretty badly if you're not ready for it. Striking wise, though, again, I've done about 10 or 11 kickboxing, Muay Thai amateur fights. So like professional boxing, maybe even professional kickboxing, I'm a little bit more open to that like immediately, especially because my trainer Steve Wilson for striking, we've worked together for like 10 years now. So it would really just be about me and him if we feel like that's doable. If it's boxing, I would like to do it some justice, find like a good boxing gym, at least spend like a couple hours there though. And so yeah, it would just basically go from that. Because I do enjoy boxing and striking a lot more, but MMA is the complete sport. So obviously I want to make my name in that too. It's just about making sure that I'm prepared to take it to the level that I need to take it to. Because I don't like, sorry if I'm not allowed to curse, I don't like half-assing things. I want to make sure that no matter what ring or cage I go into, I'm able to give the best performance that I can give. And that's for the gym, that's for people watching, that's for myself. So it's all about that. And whenever my coaches feel like I'm ready, because I could be ready whenever I want to be. That's at least my mentality about it. And then we'll just go from there.
Gotcha, man. So now just one more fighting question, then I have one outside the cage question for you. So your nickname, Wolf Pup, I really like that. It's different. Kind of tell me the backstory here. How'd you get that?
So it's a couple of different avenues that all connect. So when I first got it, probably 7 years ago, I was even like now, like Hunter was basically all we had at the gym. Well, not Hunter himself, but the body type, like big 170ers, 190ers. Like basically, it was all big guys who wanted to be fighters. And I was the smallest one. I was always walking around like 55. I was always a couple inches shorter than everyone. Even like the next shortest guy to me still had like 30 pounds of muscle on me and a crazy long reach. So I was literally the wolf pup. I was just going around biting people's ankles and stuff like that. And then my one coach, Frank, I'm pretty sure it's a quote from Beowulf. I don't remember. I remember reading it from somewhere. I don't know if it was Beowulf or not, but he says it's from Beowulf. That there's like a passage that says they call this character the wolf pup because even though he might be small like a wolf pup, he still has a powerful bite, and it just kind of fell in line because I'm tiny as well. So it's just again, it's just that training around with big guys all the time. You have the howl. I mean, the howl just falls in line perfectly. And wolves, or canines, have just been on the top of my animal list for ever since I was a kid. So being able to be called like a wolf pup or whatever, some people like to make fun of it or whatever. It's fine. I thought about going like doing something silly when I'm in the pros and doing like alpha wolf or whatever, but I'll probably just stick to the wolf pup because it just rolls off the tongue so well.
Yeah, man, I really like the nickname there. One last thing now before we head out that I have to ask you about. I did see on Facebook that you are a Star Wars fan. Season 3 of The Mandalorian is out right now. I'm hoping they put more episodes out. I saw there's only 3 of them out so far. I got through 2 of them, so one more there. Have you gotten to watch any of it yet?
I haven't watched the new season, but I've watched up to I did the first and second season. It's definitely been on my mind. I was actually just talking to my girl about it today about getting Disney Plus to like watch it, but it's definitely going to be something for after the fight because you got the Mandalorian, you got the Bad Batch. I still never even watched the Kenobi series. There's a whole bunch of stuff like that, and then you have the Jedi Survivor coming out. It's just a whole bunch of Star Wars stuff, and I'm all for it, no matter what it is.
Well, after you take care of business on Saturday night, you have a lot of time, a lot of downtime anyway to catch up on all the Star Wars stuff that you've been missing out on there. Anyway, man, really appreciate all the time today. Last thing before you head out, go ahead and plug your social media so people know where to follow you at. If you have any like sponsorships or anything like that that you got to plug, take it away. Floor is yours.
Yeah, you could always follow my combat page. I haven't been putting it too much on it lately. It has some of my kickboxing stuff. That's just Jesse the Wolf Pup Burke, but it's an athletic page as well. Could always look up at Scranton MMA, Wilkes-Barre MMA, and then I'm gonna butcher his last name, and I'm sorry, but the you might have seen the picture of the guy getting strangled eating pizza. Demonte's NEPA pizza reviews. He's love that guy, and he definitely owes me a slice of pizza after that day. So shout out to all of them, and again, shout out to just Scranton MMA as a whole family.